All right guys, it's Jason here from RPM, and today we're going to be doing a quick install video that we really haven't done yet. It's super easy, but we kind of wanted to go over it. It's the intercooler install for the X3s. This one specifically is a 120 horsepower model. We'll be installing the big core intercooler. If you have a 17 to 19 X3, your intercooler will come with a fan on it. So they're all a little bit different, but for the most part, they all drop straight in. If you have a 172 horsepower model or a 195 model, a 205 model, and you're just upgrading your intercooler, things will be a little bit different, but you still kind of get the idea of how these install. They're all really similar. And yeah, let's dive into it. All right, first thing we're gonna do on this 120 model is get this plate out of here. This is where your intercooler would go if you had a 160 to 205 model X3. This is simple. We're going to remove the bolts from where the intercooler will essentially mount, which is two here, and then we're going to go to the front, take the access panel out, and take these two bolts out right here. That's it. Pop this panel out, and we'll be ready to install the fan on the intercooler and drop it in. It's really that easy. All right, we're going to get this cover out of here. Simple as that. We no longer need it, and there's the hole. All right, guys, as you can see, our intercooler is massive compared to the stock intercoolers. Moving forward, we have this OEM intercooler fan. We use the OEM ones because they are definitely a very unique design, and they bolt specifically to the 2020 intercoolers. One thing I will note is that we do not run a intercooler cover on ours, really just because the intercooler on the 2020 models has to be raised up to be enlarged, and that's one of the reasons. You can cut your cover to modify it, make it fit the intercooler cover, but we simply just do not run one. We don't need it. You don't need it. It draws plenty of air without it. Any X3 turbo model, if you're running a front or rear windshield, you shouldn't be running your intercooler scoop anyways. It's a valance that scoops air from the front. If you have a windshield or rear windshield, you're eliminating that intake, so it needs to pull downward. Regardless, take off your intercooler cover if you're running a front or rear windshield. We will be bolting this intercooler fan up to our intercooler. It's super easy. We include the hardware, and then it's just a couple 10 mil bolts. So we're gonna throw some Loctite, and then we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're installing the intercooler, remember that the fan plug goes to the back of the car. The intercooler can be swapped left to right, but the plug always faces back. That's that easy to get the fan installed. From here, we're going to be moving on to this section of bolts. 2 in the rear, 2 in the front. Bam, 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 bam. You're going to be putting the supplied hardware through these and into these well nuts on the fan. The fan itself is actually what supports it. So yeah, we'll go from there. Do remember that the fan, again, this cutout piece is always to the back. So this actually physically snaps in right here. Want to take a look? It snaps in there, rest on the back. So that's one easier way to keep the orientation of the fan plug in place. So you can really only go in one way. So we're gonna go ahead and start dropping it in. Just like that. It's in place. Now we're gonna throw the hardware in, and we're ready to keep on rolling. All right, guys, this is the factory plug. This is even the factory spot on where it's located. They don't have any dummy plug on it. It's kind of just literally just laying here, usually up with this tube. And this is the plug on the fan. So at this point, you're just gonna snake this back in there and plug it in. Clip it in like so. Can-Am has it, whether the intercooler or not, they have an intercooler fan sitting there. If you're running our override switch, which this car will eventually get, you'll plug it in line of this. And yeah, it's just like that. All right, guys, installing the RPM intercooler is literally that easy. Like I said, each model is a little bit different, but they're all pretty straightforward. They're all going to mount about the same. I know the 17, 19 models, you have to trim a little bit of the plastic for the oversized intercooler. The 20 to 23 models, it'll drop right in. In next video, we're going to be installing our reinforced charge tubes. If you're not familiar with what the reinforced charge tubes are, these are simply put the strongest X3 silicone charge tubes on the market by far. They are 5-ply, which alone makes them the strongest, and then they're wire reinforced. And what that does is it has a rubber and wire ring throughout the charge tubes, and it allows for no swelling of the charge tube. They are rigid, they're super stiff, and they're built for super high horsepower cars. We are taking this car and we're turning it up a little bit, so this is the perfect application for that. After we get these installed, we'll be installing the famous RPM blow-off valve. This is the V2 BOV, and we're gonna vent to atmosphere. If you haven't seen the video on these, definitely check it out. This is our new blow-off valve. They're super trick. These are definitely top of the line. And yeah, we've already installed some parts on this car already. We've got the plenum clamps on there, and we've got some of our other goodies on there. We'll be installing a new exhaust that we don't even have offered yet on this car. It'll be part of the install video. And yeah, we'll be doing tunes, E85, the whole 9 yards. So keep watching our videos, and we'll keep installing parts on this car.